We were just talking about, and you tell me if I'm right on this, it seems like the more people have kind of turned against language and stuff, like language and
People have turned against language?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, I'm really behind the times.
Yeah, we're living in an era of eye contact and facial expressions.
Okay.
No, but like racial language, like the things people get fired for now.
Yeah.
Are like racial language, and if somebody curses on the air or something, or just saying the wrong thing, people have very little tolerance for that. But I feel like on TV and in movies, violence has not really been affected at all.
Well, we don't care about violence. I mean, what are we watching right now? There's a shooting in Ottawa. I mean, literally on TV, there was some. I don't know. I've been keep seeing clips of it behind me, but I don't know what's going on.
It's literally at this point, there's a shooting in Ottawa, and it's background noise.
Yeah, I mean, a school shooting barely makes the news now. It's so uninteresting to people. Yeah, no, here we're real. It's not the language isn't as much as the sex thing. That's always the issue I find in movies. For me, when I get into trouble with the MPAA.
Well, yeah, you're somebody who's actually had to go through all the bullshit that you have to go through.
Yeah.
So you think that, what is it? It's just sex scenes in general, or is it
just,
the way it's portrayed?
Americans are all good about violence, but don't like. I'm not saying Americans, the citizens. I mean, like the general consensus with the MPAA.
Right.
Violence is fine. You can blow someone's head off. We're good with that. You got your R rating. We can see pubes and NC-17. Okay. But in Europe, it's the exact opposite. Well,
right.
It's too violent. Oh yeah, everyone can walk around naked. Who gives a crap? I was watching an award show. I was in Argentina. And I was watching like their version of the Emmys or something. And I don't know, it was in Spanish, so I can tell. And they were giving someone a lifetime achievement award. This much I could figure out. And they were showing clips from our movies, and some of the clips had full frontal nudity. And this they're showing at the award show on television. And I thought,
and it's just like in your hotel room TV.
Yeah,
it's not like you ordered it.
This is like the greatest country in the world, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. But then have you ever had to deal with, like, when you're trying to sell a film internationally or whatever? Do you have to deal with the violence there? Do they care?
No, they don't seem to care. I think once it gets through the American system, they pretty much. I mean, there used to be a big thing in England. There was a big thing in the '80s where they called it the video nasties, where they were trying to arrest people for violent movies if they had.
Really?
Yeah. Even if video stores were like if you had Evil Dead on your shelves, they could come in and they wanted to arrest you. It was like a big thing in the 80s.
Yeah, it was only in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of movies were banned, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, for a long time and stuff. But I don't know. I haven't really had any. Maybe that. I don't know. No, I guess I could have been worse.
It is. Yeah. It is. We were just talking about before you got in. It's so weird that, like, in America, you can show on TV, like on cable.
It's so funny that you just said this. I have this one English friend, and he says every sentence starts with "in America." You just said "in America,"
right?
And then he said that's how the English always talk. Like, in America, their houses are. It doesn't matter what the next part of the sentence is. Right. It always starts with
"in America." Like you're just making this grand sweeping.
It's just funny.
Yeah, but you could show somebody getting their throat slit on cable.
Yeah,
but you can't, like you said, you can't show pubes in a movie.
Well, I think the funny thing is now. I was noticing this when I was editing, I think it was Halloween 2. I go, shit, man, the MPAA is rougher on movies than HBO is on their shows. Like, you could literally get away with more stuff on The Sopranos. Like, if I took a random episode, like a particularly violent one of Sopranos or whatever, and took it to the MPAA, they'd go, oh, NC-17.
Right.
Because it's a different system.
Yeah.
Like, the motion picture thing does not apply to television. So with cable, it's like, I guess they can pretty much do whatever they want for the most part.
So what is it with the MPAA? Is it political? Is it like why do they have such a hard on for?
It's very random. I don't know.
Things?
Every time I've done it, every time I've put a movie before the ratings board, the thing I think I'm going to get nailed for, they don't pay attention to, and then the thing that I'm like, that is the thing they go bananas over. And
is it just a guy, or do they all come together and say,
I don't know.
This is what's going to bother us?
You never meet them,
right?
It's not like you're in a room with them. I mean, maybe
Robert
if you're
MPAA,
maybe if you're Clint Eastwood. You meet them. Obviously, if you're that guy, I'm sure you get away with a lot of stuff. But for me, it's like it just goes off. You don't know who watches it. You don't know who the members are. You don't know what I don't know. Maybe they don't want them to be bribed. But, so then you just get it back like, oh, they've decided that it's NC-17. And Devil's Rejects was the worst.
It was.
That took forever to get an R rating. And I kept getting the note that kept coming back was like, well, it's not one particular thing. It's the tone of the entire film.
And so what are you supposed to do? So for release, we need it to just be happier. We need a happier Devil's Rejects.
But the thing that pisses me off, I go, the notes they basically give you, if this was a comedy, they'd be going, could you make it less funny? We feel it's too funny for people.
Right.
Because that, like, if you're doing a horror movie or something like that, you're like, they want you to tone it like, oh, this is too intense. Well, don't you think anyone walking into a movie called The Devil's Rejects is hoping it's in?
So did you, when you first started making movies, was this all kind of a shock to you? Were you like, I don't know why people aren't doing more outrageous shit, and then you find out it's not
God, I'm trying to remember.
applicable?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I never really thought about it because, like, you know, I never thought to myself, like, gee, I wonder if Jaws was more intense and they cut it down. Like, I just accepted the movies for what they were. I don't think I ever thought about it. And a lot of the movies that I would see that were really crazy, say like Cannibal Holocaust or something, that I would go, I don't think I realized at the time that they were unrated. And also, I remember when Dawn of the Dead came out. Like, that would be in the local multiplexes. I remember when it came out in '78. It was unrated, which was fine. But now you can't get an unrated movie into those situations. I mean, Midnight Cowboy was rated X. Clockwork Orange was rated X.
But they just won't put them in theaters anymore.
Yeah, not anymore because it doesn't seem, you know, Last Tango in Paris, you know, it's an Oscar-nominated film. It's rated X. Yeah, that went away for some reason, and so things just changed. I mean,
it is weird when that stuff just goes away. Like, if you're going to make something rated X, you go, okay, well, that way people know what it is. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you at least still have to give them the option of getting to see it.
Well, I always think the whole thing is absolutely ridiculous because I always say, I'm not making the movies for children.
Right.
I'm not trying to make it work for this kindergarten class. It's for adults.
Yeah.
I don't need one adult telling another adult what's too intense for him to watch.
I don't think you can handle it. I watched it. I don't think it's right for you.
I mean, I feel I know you better than you, and this is not good for you.
Right. I just don't want to expose you to it. You're so innocent. And
it's a weird system.
It is really weird. How much of that do you avoid? Because the new movie that you're making, and you have to make it now because you're getting it crowdfunded.
Oh, I'm in. I jumped in the pool.
Yeah. Have you realized that? Like, when you start, the new movie's going to be 31, and you can become a part of the filmmaking process, let's say.
Well, I really realized I did an interview with Adam Carolla. He's like, you know, Rob, I can't do a good Adam Carolla, but you know what
It's all right. Sounds like that.
It's a nightmare fulfilling all these things that you promise. And I was like, oh, God, I never really thought about it.
Right, because you never, like, when you're making it, you can kind of either just say stuff or nobody really asks you, and you're like, as long as you're...
Well, sometimes you realize it, but, like, he did one where he goes, anyone who donates will be thanked in the credits. Mm-hmm. He goes, well, 10,000 people donated.
Right.
Thanking 10,000 people means our end credits go on for 20 minutes. He's like, so yeah, I guess that's
yeah, I saw one of the things that's offered on the website is to get a phone call from you every day.
Well, that'll be recorded. I will not personally call everyone individually. I mean, yeah, I was wondering why my mom signed up for that. Finally, he'll call. No, I'm going to every day.
I thought Zombie was a Jewish name.
Yeah. Every day from set. Yeah, I don't know why I was imitating my mom as Jewish. Every day from set, either before or after I shoot, I'll just call and go, hey, you know, it's day one. We did this, that. So-and-so was on set, yada, 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 yada.
Because I was reading a story. You did it for Yahoo. You did, like, your top 10 favorite scenes or whatever. And you were talking about one of the scenes in Lords of Salem, which is your most recent movie. And it was the last scene you shot, but you said you'd been shooting for well over 24 hours. Yeah. And everybody was punchy and exhausted, and nobody knew what was good anymore. Yeah. And then I read...
That's such great conditions to work under. Yeah. Where you go, how is that? I don't know. I don't know either.
Yeah. But it's shot, right? We can go home? Yeah. That's the scene.
There is that funny moment when you're making a movie. It happens when it's really cold, because you're out there shooting, and you're just... And your brain just goes, I don't care anymore.
Really?
Because you can't, you're standing in the freezing cold for 18 hours. And after a while, how does it look? And you can tell no one cares. The actors don't care. You don't care. Or you're just so tired. After there was one, we shot almost for 2 days straight on Halloween 2 on the last day. Because they're like, the producer's like, we're going to walk in front of the camera. We're going to shut you down. You're done. And I go, well, what if we never stop? Because they're like, we're going to lock the studio as soon as you leave. I go, well, we just won't stop. So we shot, sun went up, sun came down, sun went up, sun came down. And we just kept shooting. We're like, well, if we don't leave, they can't lock us out.
Right.
So we shot the whole big thing. But we were so punchy, we literally didn't know what was going on.
So do you then go back and look at footage, like when you're editing, go like, we probably should have done something different there?
Well, really, what I do notice is in between the takes we do use is most of the other actors either standing there like nodding off or starting to have weird giggle fests because they're so punchy.
Right.
they can't remember anything.
Right. And so when that happens, when an actor gets that punchy, are you realizing that the lines that they're saying are nowhere near the script, that they're just kind of making things up and trying to...
they try. I mean,
Let me just get the feeling of this scene.
It's always like we always say, this is the joke. The morning starts, you're making Citizen Kane. The day ends, you're hoping it's Dukes of Hazzard. Right. You know what I mean? That's like, but I didn't make that up. That's like what everybody says. You know.
As long as we have 2 hours, whatever it is, that's fine.
I remember the first time I met John Carpenter. I went down and visited him. He was making Escape from L.A. And he was like, let me tell you about movie making. It's not about art. It's about trying to get that army over that hill before the sun comes up. That's it.
That's it.
And it didn't make sense to me then.
Right, because then you're like...
Now I get it.
Right. I hope I never get that jaded. It is about art. Well, no.
Because you never have enough time and money because you're always planning to do something you've never done before. So you go, well, how long does it take to film a Satan baby with mechanical arms coming out of between this woman's legs? Right. I don't know. No one told me. Right. Oh, it takes longer than we planned for.
Right. No, well, this is being advertised as from the mind of Rob Zombie, so you figure it out.
Right.
I don't no idea how to figure this out. But that's what I was thinking, that like somebody would have to deal with like a up for the last 48 hours cranky Rob Zombie being, nothing happened. I'll call you later, kid.
I don't have the luxury of getting cranky. I always kind of try to keep it together, but other people certainly get cranky. Or they just, you can just see it. Or what you feel bad when your actor has fallen asleep on the floor and you have to wake her up to make her do a scene.
Right.
And you can just tell she's still basically asleep, but her eyes are open.
Especially if she's your wife.
Yeah.
It's probably
There's one scene in Lords of Salem that is, it was that scene where Sherry's it's the image that everybody sort of knows with the striped sweater and the skull face, and there's like the little alien baby guy. And she was asleep and woke her up and we did this. And she didn't, I think she probably felt the next day like she dreamed shooting it.
Wow.
Because it was pretty surreal to begin with what we were doing. I mean, there's like little midget guy with these intestines. She's doing something with the goo flying all around. And plus,
her brain's completely
some people
fogged
wake up
over
fast. Sherry's not one of them. She needs a wake up period, and I could,
7 hours and then an hour of wake up period, and that's not the luxury that you have. The website, by the way, is rz-31.com, and you can donate money. The movie sounds incredible, but it does sound like a movie that you would want to crowdfund. Like I was saying before, I've always been like off and on about crowdfunding. I feel like, but then the more I thought about it, the more I realized the only time I don't like crowdfunding is when somebody I don't like is crowdfunding. Because I just don't like them.
Yeah, I don't want that guy to be successful.
Right.
I thought you were going to say, the only time I don't like is when someone's trying to get a kidney or something.
Right.
You know what?
Yeah, it's like, well, this is for movies, man. It's for entertainment.
Forgettable entertainment.
Yeah.
No, I mean, no, it's great. I mean, trying to have some kind of freedom to make crazy shit is the goal because...
Well, the premise I've read is like a bunch of people get kidnapped on Halloween and they get taken to a place called Murder World that they don't really know what it is, and their goal is to make it out without getting murdered.
Basically, someone's playing a game with them, and they're locked inside this giant abandoned factory, and they release one homicidal maniac at a time, and they have to try to survive this person who's trying to kill them all night long until... it's November 1st, and if anyone's alive, they go, okay, you can leave. So does one come out after the other dies, or is it just a certain... Is it Royal Rumble rules where every 30 seconds another maniac comes out? As soon as that, if you happen to kill, if you perchance happen to kill that guy, next guy comes out,
and nobody knows how many there are.
Yeah, no, it just, there's just that day's worth of guys. But one quick funny thing, I just reminded me of something you said. The reason that's good to do it this way is I remember when you're doing stuff through a studio, sometimes the notes you get.
Yeah.
I remember one time when I was almost going to do this movie, The Crow, Crow 2 or 3, whatever the hell it was, I don't remember. And I wanted to get Bob Hoskins for this one role.
Okay.
And the note I got was, I see where you're going with that. Is there any way, it's not Bob Hoskins, but it's a really smoking hot 20-year-old girl. And you feel like you're...
Are you making this movie?
Ashton Kutcher come out. I'm being punked because it's sometimes the notes are so funny like that. You're like, well, you start thinking he's the leader of a biker gang, and by the end of the conversation, okay, so now he's running special ops for the CIA. Like it just changes. Like
right, and you're sitting there like listening to this guy. It's like you've never made a movie.
Any way this could take place on a submarine. Well,
I like what you're doing, but if we could do it in a submarine where they're running
this whole Western theme, but could it be a Western on a submarine?
Yeah, what about Rob, stay with me. In space.
There's nothing you can say that's more ridiculous than the actual things that have been said. And sometimes you actually feel like you're losing your mind. Because
Really?
you're trying to go, okay, well, take that under consideration, but okay.
Do you just have to condition yourself to just, all right, I'm going to say yes and then just do it my way anyway?
Well, I got into the thing that I figured that most of the people that make those goofy suggestions don't want to live or die by them. So if you just kind of ignore them, because they don't want to be the guy like, I'm not the guy who said it should be a submarine. So they really...
I just brought it up to you.
Yeah,
that was
they
your
really
choice.
won't press the issue. So and you kind of hope like, he'll probably forget he said that by tomorrow, so I'm not even going to address it.
Right. And then if you can figure out some little thing in the movie that was his idea and like compliment him on it later.
I have so many bad tricks that I do to get around things where like someone would be like, any changes to the script, we must get 24 hours in advance and must be notarized by us, blah, 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 blah. Like, but that makes sense, but you're shooting second to second. So if you have to change something, you got to do it then. You can't go like, let's stop, type this up, send it to the other time zone, and sit here and wait for 8 hours till we get a reply. Right. So what I would do is I would always shoot it and then send the pages. And by the time they responded to those script pages with their notes, we were already onto something else. Right. So they never knew what we were doing.
Right. And I mean, that's the way to do it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like you were just saying, you're in a scenario where you just have to keep shooting. For 36 hours, you're not going to stop to make sure that is everybody okay with this?
Yeah, everybody happy. Well, I have a note. Now, my advice for anyone who wants to be a director, you just have to be really good at lying to the studio all the time.
Yeah,
because they forget they said all this crazy stuff anyway at the end of the day.
So you also, I would imagine, have to have kind of supreme faith in yourself as like, you know what, this is what I see in my brain. Whatever happens to it, this is how it has to come out.
I mean, it's got to live or die by your vision. Sometimes, you hit the bullseye. Sometimes you might not. But for me, even when I see movies that I don't think are great, I can still enjoy them on some level if they do seem like that singular vision. Like it's when I see things that are so made by committee, you go, well, that was just 2 hours of bland nothing.
Right.
Any episode of any sitcom would have been more interesting than this.
Yeah.
So, I would rather see an epic fail that did something so different than just some forgettable thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're still talking about that movie, The Room, so. No.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're still talking about that, but no one's talking about, like, whatever. I can't even think of the movie I want to mention because I forgot about
whatever the blockbuster was last year, we don't remember really.
Basically, I remember David Bowie saying, either be loved or hated. Everything else in between is not worth dealing with, and that's the way I look at it.
So is that how you feel when you start getting all this flack about having a John Wayne Gacy exhibit? Everybody's mad at you right now. Apparently, this is how it struck me. So you've got this haunted house, and it's... and you live in it, and it's Rob Zombie's house.
This is how it struck me.
This is so. Because I was reading the articles. There's a little video attached to it, and it's in Illinois. It's not too far away from where John Wayne Gacy.
None of this, which I was really aware of, by the way.
Right. So, then I'm glad I'm informing you.
I mean, I knew the controversy, but when they were building, I wasn't thinking about although location.
Right now we know, but so in the articles. Everybody's upset because, the articles would have you believe everybody's upset because this haunted house has a John Wayne Gacy room in it. The haunted house is based off, for those of you who saw A House with 1,000 Corpses, the murder ride, which that's kind of the tongue-in-cheek aspect of it. But this is what struck me. The Chicago Tribune had a video associated with the article, right? And in the article, it was talking about how everybody was very outraged by this and it was very poorly thought out on your end. But in the video... You're there at the opening of it, and all the press is going like, "Ha John Wayne Gacy, it was funny."
Because it hadn't happened yet. Nobody was upset.
Right.
Because everybody thought it was... Because that's why my one quote, because no one's ever talked to me about it, was like, it seems funny. But I think I was saying the guy who's playing John Wayne Gacy is funny.
Because the exhibit is, and take all context away, the exhibit's funny. It's John Wayne Gacy in a John Wayne Gacy room. And there's two little zombie Boy Scouts sitting on a couch next to him.
Has nothing to do.
And he's making balloon animals.
And he's just talking filthy to people. The funny thing is last year, the same thing happened with the Manson room. Because that room is pretty vile because there's like the pregnant Sharon Tate on the floor dead and the girls are running around screaming. That room is really freaky.
Yeah.
But here's what's great about it.
And were people mad about that because it was in California?
Yes.
So location again, it was the exact same problem.
But the funny thing is ever since they started the controversy, the ticket sales are so insane we can't even handle the crowds.
Really?
Because these things are probably built to like, oh, okay, maybe you can get 2,000 people through the haunted house comfortably on a night. Mm-hmm. We're getting like 10,000 people a night thanks to their press. Because I guarantee you 99.9% of the people going through would have just all like, oh, look, the clown from House of a Thousand Corpses. Let's go in the next room.
Right.
They don't know it's John Wayne Gacy. They don't give a shit.
Right.
So that's what's so funny.
Like the average person is not a serial killer historian. They're just like, oh, that's the guys with balloon animals and weird zombie creatures.
They've taken something that was going to be mildly successful and made it a blockbuster.
So when you think forward, are you thinking like at first were you going, oh, I better start looking at maps more, and now you're more like, well, I probably should keep not giving a fuck.
Well, we were joking that what we have to do now is every time we move it to a new city, we have to go, what's the worst event that ever happened here? Okay, that's the first room we're going to have in the...
Yeah, that's it, because we have to get people outraged.
Yeah, and then, I don't know. First of all, it's the murder ride in every room is a serial killer. Mm-hmm. What do you expect? No one seems outraged by the Jack the Ripper room. Is that okay now?
Enough time has been. No, okay. And that's the other thing I was reading. Like somebody was like, just hasn't been enough time. It was like, I mean, I don't know.
It's 40 years.
Yeah. When is enough time then? Because that implies that there will come a day.
Yeah. He's got to wait 2 more weeks, and then it's funny again.
Yeah, we could do it over Thanksgiving.
And I mean, truthfully, when people ask me, yes, the whole thing is incredibly tasteless.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
You could just go like
it's
all the
not
movies.
Like
it's tasteless.
If we remove that room, the thing becomes nice. The whole thing's ridiculously tasteless from this top to bottom. In fact, I wish it was more tasteless.
It's like getting that note. Like, could you make? We like the house. Just a little happier. Like, could you? I don't understand what the killing.
Smile more when he makes double balloon animals.
The other thing that I've been wanting to ask you about that you and I love the way that you deal with people. I really enjoy because you kind of just if you like what I'm doing. You're on board. If you don't like what I'm doing, you can go fuck yourself. It doesn't matter. You posted this story on your Facebook page, I think yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
About a bunch of fans coming up to you in 1992.
That was the funniest thing ever.
And calling you a sellout. In 92, calling you a sellout because I guess White Zombie had just signed with Geffen?
Yeah, we had just, I guess the record was out, but the record was, not a hit for a long time. We were playing, you got to remember, this is 92, so all of White Zombie is traveling in a van. Mm-hmm. We don't even have a trailer. So we sleep in the van on top of the equipment.
Right.
Doesn't matter and there's no heat in the van. So it doesn't matter if it's winter. This is how we live.
Which, by the way, living like that for an extended period of time probably, to me, explains why White Zombie broke up.
Yeah, I mean, we were like, that went on for years.
Yeah.
So that's how we live. And you're playing a show, humping your own gear, your own shit gear. You have no money. Maybe you're making $100 a week, maybe. And you got nothing. I mean, you're basically homeless people with guitars. And you play this show to nobody. And these 2 guys come up to me after the show. Like, look, we're loading our own gear. It's pathetic as it can be. And goes in these 2 like hipsters, like, oh, we're so cool. We're the guys who never sell out. And you're like, okay, well, whatever. They go on this long rant about how we sold out and we did this. And I go, what did we do? I must have missed it because we're all flat broke and we're doing the same stupid thing we always did.
I literally had to put down the amp so I could listen to you tell me this.
Yeah, and the funny thing is the record we put out on Geffen was the same record we would have put out on Caroline Records or some indie. Mm-hmm. It's just funny. It's always perception, and I don't know what it is, but that's what you get all the time. I mean, so I just think it's funny. I mean, but to me, I would always say to people I don't always say to people, but if it does come up, I go, well, what do you do for a living? Right. They go, well, I work at Burger King. I go, you're a fucking sellout. You work for this giant corporate entity.
Right.
So you're some anarchist punk? You're working for a giant corporation. At least I'm living in a fucking van, driving around playing music. Right. And I'm not even saying it's cool. I'm just doing it because whatever. Yeah. So I don't know. Sellout is the only time I think the word sellout, and I would never say this to anybody, is applicable is if you have changed what you believe in just to make money.
Right.
Then you are a sellout. I've never done that. If I've done something that you think sucks, it's because that's the way I wanted to do it. Right. Not because I thought it would. Look at the stuff I do. Does it look like I do these things because I think they're going to make money?
Right, they're not exactly
I do everything. It drives my manager crazy because my career strategy seems to be constantly doing things meant to torpedo my success.
Right, you're in the...
It all turns.
Like, Rob, do you know what people are interested in now? You're like, no, I don't really know what people are interested in.
I don't know what anyone likes. And I always say, I don't know if I could make something that everyone would like because I don't understand what everybody likes.
Right.
As soon as there's a movie that everybody decides, we've all decided we love this movie, I go, great, I'll go see that. I go see it, I go, this is the worst movie I've ever seen.
I don't like that
I don't
movie.
get it. Why does everyone love this movie?
Right. I think I'm going to go make movies that just I like.
Yeah, then I'll watch a movie that everyone hates. I go, this is the greatest movie I have ever seen in my life.
Right.
It's genius.
Is there a truth to the story? This is the other story that was your big scandal, like a little while back, that you...
scandals.
Yeah, you're a scandalous guy. You tried to have a skate park shut down in your area because it was too
so
loud.
Funny.
And
no, that was all lies. It's an old story, but I never actually told the real story.
Yeah.
What it was, we lived in this area where it was just country, nothing. Mm-hmm. It was like this historical area where literally we wanted to put up a fence, and you had to go through a committee to put up a fence. We're like, really?
yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll go through all these steps to put up a freaking fence so our dog doesn't get hit by a car. And then we were on tour. I think it was the Manson tour. I was doing the thing with Manson. And we came home and everything was fine. And I kept hearing this banging sound. And I go, oh, they must be doing construction, like in one of the houses over there somewhere, because it was trees I couldn't see. And after about a week of it, I go, I wonder what the hell they're building. And I went and looked. And I go, there's a skate park in our backyard. When did they build this? Because we had been on the road for a while, so, you know. And people, and then I would read all these articles, people like, fuck that guy. He's trying to shut down this skate park that's like 2 fucking miles from his house. Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's like 30 feet from my house. It's so loud that what would happen was you'd hear this, and, you know, I always skateboarded. Skateboarding is great. I have nothing against it. People wanted to paint that whole picture. It's just all nonsense. But what it was they were metal ramps that were hollow. So it sounded like someone throwing like a cinder block into an empty dumpster for 8 straight hours every day. And it was so loud that it was like it was happening inside your house. I was like, all day long. So we didn't try to shut it down. We went to we were like, how did this even get there? And
yeah,
then
we couldn't build a fence.
Right, and then we found out it was put there illegally. It wasn't zoned. Everybody else was against it. But we still weren't trying to shut it down. We're like, isn't there a way you can insulate the ramps at least?
Just fill it with something.
Yeah, we weren't trying to move it. We weren't trying to shut it down. We just thought, isn't there a way to just make it a little quieter? This is like nuts. Mm-hmm. And the best part of the story is our neighbors, who could hear it even louder, one of them was, this part's not good, but was like in a wheelchair and couldn't really get away. Well, they're like, living here now is unlivable because it's so loud living in our house. And they're like in their 80s, but no one ever talked to them. They just kept making like, oh, Rob Zombie, what a dick.
Yeah.
But I wasn't even trying to do anything bad. What happened was this is such a boring story. Everyone's already tuned out.
No, I'm interested.
The first selectman who pushed it through tried to, because he had done it all in a fishy way, goes, oh, I'll just pin it on this guy. He's easy to hate. Oh, and all the others were like, guy who made House of 1,000 Corpses doesn't want to escape. They just created this whole fake story.
And they got to be so glad whenever anything like that happens. If it's a public figure doing they got to be creaming their pants for that, because now it's like I could just set up whatever narrative I want.
Yeah, and it's so easy to go, oh, that guy, and they just threw me under the bus and created this whole. I wasn't even responding to it because it wasn't none of it was ever true on my part. We were like, is there anything we can do? We're not trying to move it, whatever. It's a park, okay. There's going to be noise, but I mean, this is absurd. So it just became a whole. It really showed me how dirty politics can be, because everything that was always being said and done was always a lie. Mm-hmm. And when you try to combat a lie, for some reason it seems like you're lying too. So then I just stopped saying anything.
You just stopped talking about it.
Yeah, because you can't. You just go, I give up.
Right. Well.
So I gave up.
Yeah, all right. I'm upset about a skate park 2 miles. Whatever. I don't like whatever. Well, listen. Everybody go help Rob Zombie make this movie. It's RZ.
But then I had one other idea that I thought would be funny.
What was that?
I was going to bus kids in to skate from poor neighborhoods. I'm not even kidding. I had this whole idea. I go, oh, if we want a skate park so bad, let's have kids skate. Like, oh, no, you have to have a special thing. You can't, you have to be right from this area. They made up this whole thing. I was
if you thought getting a fence was tough, wait till you try to bring in...
The best part was that the guy, the politician who put up the park said to me, I wish I had this recorded, I didn't think to do it. He goes, look, these skaters were annoying everybody. We had to stick them somewhere. That was his rationale for it. It was so funny. And then who cares? It's just,
I love it.
Crazy shit happens.
I love it. Well, and I think it's amazing, too, that you could just tune it out.
I'm still alive and well, and the park is, the kids are still skating, so who gives a crap?
And you're not sitting there shaking your fist, old man
I never
zombie
was.
is...
I didn't care. I mean, maybe I would have used it, too. We were just trying to say, like, can you make it a little quieter?
Yeah. They're hollow in their
And I even
backyard.
said I would pay to do it. Because I knew going through City Hall, I go, look, I'll pay for it. I don't care. I'm not trying to ruin anyone's fun.
Yeah.
I'll waste my money fixing your mistake. But, you know, politics. It's all politics in this game.
Yeah. Well, help avoid the politics. Go to rz-31.com.
Create your own.
And, you can crowdfund Rob Zombie's movie. Rob, thank you for being here.
Sure, thanks for having me.
And, of course, I mean, this is the one question before you go. Everybody's got Rob Zombie tattoos. When you see somebody with a Rob Zombie tattoo, do you think, that's awesome, I'm going to keep this person at a distance? Or do you think, like, that's awesome, depending on the human being, we could be best friends forever?
Well, sometimes I think, ooh, when they're really bad.
Right.
But when they're good, I think, oh, that looks good. But then it's kind of weird. But I distance myself enough where it doesn't seem like me.
Right.
But sometimes the placement worries me.
Like, what if it's like you have a Rob Zombie logo on your shoulder and then a Rob Zombie autograph right under it, and it's right here?
That's okay.
Okay, good.
It's when some girl comes up and her whole leg is your face, and you're like, you're only like 18.
Yeah.
No dude wants me on your leg when you guys are in bed together.
I don't want to have to live with this. This isn't like...
Literally, my head is bigger on your body than your own head is big on your body. So,
well, get your Rob Zombie tattoos. Support the movie. And Rob, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, if you support the movie, I will actually tattoo myself onto you.
I think there is.
I'm a terrible tattooist.
It's like $10,000, but he will do that for you.
Oh, God.
Well, yeah,
I will
support
tattoo Adam Carolla on.
Thanks for being here, man.
Sure,
and,
thanks for having me.
We'll be back with more Sam Roberts Show right after this.